Tech Yeah Podcast.
That's pretty good. Okay, ready to do this?
Ready as always.
You're ready to fly, baby bird?
Tech Yeah. Cleared for Tech Yeah.
Tech Yeah, cleared for Tech Yeah?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what you're even saying. You guys might hear, listening now over the interwebs, might be noticing we sound a little different today. We're actually recording from our personal home studios, not Tech Yeah International. So
yeah, Tech Yeah Studios is getting renovated right now. So while they're adding the holodeck play area, we are relegated to our own compounds.
Yeah, so from the compound, there's going to be a couple things that aren't perfect. So let us know if there's any issues with sound. And if you do want to reach out to us at techyeahpodcast@gmail.com. That's techyeahpodcast@gmail.com. Bill, how are you, buddy? It's been a couple weeks. How you doing, man?
Oh man, I can't believe it's been a couple of weeks because it has been a very busy couple of weeks. Christmas and work.
I hate to be that guy, but I am so glad Christmas is over.
Oh, I'm so happy too. I'm like everyone on our block has taken down their decorations, and I just have that feeling of relief. Like, oh, it's over.
Yeah, it's just like get them out of here, please. I've had enough.
Like it was a lot of fun. Like I think we both had like enjoyable, fun family get-togethers, and it was relaxing to some extent. But it is exhausting no matter how much fun you have.
Yeah, and that's definitely the case. Like, I love seeing my family. Spending weekends with my family is a bit more problematic, but still great. But just everything around Christmas is some of my least favorite things socially.
It's stressful.
Yeah, it's stressful. It's anxiety prone. It's a lot of plans falling apart and people getting upset, and everyone's mad at. There's a lot of like frustration that comes up in Christmas time, but especially within your family, like that dynamic starts to play out in a way that I don't always love going back to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You definitely feel like
everyone's
a kid.
always mad at somebody.
Yeah, you definitely feel like a child again. Like those days when the house would get tense, and you're just like, oh, like I'm just gonna go to my room.
I'm just gonna go play video games in my room.
Yeah, that's Christmas in a nutshell. But well, that's good. Yeah, I've kind of been the same. I mean, I think we've both kind of had the same 2 weeks, Christmas and work, and now New Year's is coming up here in a couple days. So
I love it.
It's been
Happy New Year, Tom.
Happy New Year to you, my friend.
So, what was your best Christmas present? I mean, not best, but it's like, what was your kind of like? What were some highlights?
So we don't really do a lot of presents in my family, so you kind of get what you asked for. And I wanted a dash cam, so I have a dash cam set up now, which I think is really cool. I've been in too many fender benders and seen so many in LA that I figured I should start recording these things, at least for insurance purposes. But it is funny when you first look at your dash cam video and you're like, oh, this looks like Russia, right? Every dash cam video looks like it's from Russia, no matter where you're recording.
Oh yeah,
from.
Yeah. Well, you showed me some of the footage, and it looks like you're in Moscow.
You don't know that I'm not.
I don't know that you're not, but looks like you are.
I could be, the Russian spy or whatever. So that's kind of was the big one that I asked for. I got some other like little stuff, but
now, are you going to use that for anything besides just recording accidents if they happen to you?
No, I just have it. I'm just using it to record like long running. Set it up as intended. Put it in the window and let it loop recordings until I need it. That's kind of my plan with it. There's no other big.
You're not gonna like upload your sweet like drag racing videos on YouTube or anything?
No, that's not the plan so far. If I was gonna do that, I'd use like an action cam anyway. But yeah. So that, and A lot of video games. There's a lot to play right now. I know you're an X Plane guy. That just went on sale. This is the Steam Winter Sale. I almost thought of picking it up in the Winter Sale.
Yeah,
But
it's $40 now.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I can crash into you. Like, if I download it, can I look at your stream, see where you're at, jump in a MiG, and fly straight for you and crash into you?
No.
See, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
That's
You
so
need Pilot Edge. I mean, you have to be on the same network. You technically could if you had Pilot Edge.
that's so disappointing.
Yeah, but then you would need to know how to fly
And those
talk to
Pilot
air
Edge
traffic
nerds
control.
would get so mad at me if I did that.
They would get pissed. Yeah.
They'd be like, this isn't a game. I'm like, it's exactly a game. It's exactly a game.
I bought it on Steam, so yes, it is.
Yeah, like give me a break. God, you nerds, you and your nerd friends.
I know.
So
we're
what?
pretty nerdy.
Yeah, you are. So what else is new with you, William?
Well, I was at the airport all morning today doing some test fitting on the airplane. I decided to pick up an iPad and a mount to run a program called ForeFlight, which is there's a handful of other similar apps, but ForeFlight is the industry standard for this type of app, and it's referred to. It's got a very fancy acronym, Electronic Flight Bag. So it's an EFB. So basically, everything that a pilot used to have in their flight bag is all consolidated into this app, which runs on a tablet, specifically an iPad, which I'm not a huge fan of. I understand from a development standpoint, it's a lot cleaner and easier for an app developer to develop for one operating system. And, I think they probably made the right choice in just sticking with iOS and not trying to mess with Android. So I was, forced to pick up an Apple product, and I decided on getting the iPad mini instead of the standard iPad because the plane is not very big. So I needed something compact enough that wasn't going to like block a bunch of
You can
important
just slide it
instruments.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. So I picked up this really cool mount, which clamps onto the yoke, and purchased the iPad. Well, I'm opening up all the packages, got everything ready to go. I pull out the iPad box, and I'm like, oh, cool. It was Apple's packaging is fantastic. It always has been.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're really, really good. So unboxing an Apple product is cool. And then I pulled it out of the box like, good Lord, this is the mini? This thing's huge. I flip over the box and I had accidentally purchased the regular iPad.
Smart.
I think it's a 9.7 inch one.
9.7.
So I'm like, God damn it. Like this, then I started second guessing myself. I'm like, well, like it's got the, the better processor. It's a bigger screen, bigger battery. Like, maybe it will work. So I brought it to the plane this morning. I met a friend of mine who has a mini and another mount, and I test fit it in the plane, the regular iPad. And oh my God, it's like having a 65-inch 4K TV in the airplane. Like it blocked half of the instruments. It was, covered almost the entire yoke. It was just a total mess. So I just was like, what, screw it. So I like on my phone on the A-Word app, the South American River app.
You're allowed to say it,
I don't want to. So on the Amazon app, I did the return thing. I went to an actual like drop off location, returned it, and just immediately ordered the mini. So that's coming, and I'm really excited for that. It
so
does
what does
a lot of cool
what does
stuff.
it do? Like, what's the purpose of this little tablet in your aeroplane? I don't know what a non-digital. What did you call it? The something bag?
Oh, EFB, yeah, electronic flight bag.
Yeah. What's the traditional usage of a EFB?
So it's got GPS, which I bought a standalone GPS. You can buy the cellular iPad, which has an integrated GPS receiver different from the LTE receiver. So you don't have to set up like a cellular plan and use the GPS, but it's like $150, $200 more for the LTE version. So what a lot of pilots will do that use it for this purpose is just buy the Wi-Fi one and then buy like an $80 standalone GPS unit that sits on the dash of the plane, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. So it's got a standalone Wi-Fi connected GPS. So when I'm flying, I'll have all of the paper charts that pilots have used forever on the iPad with my plane overlaid on the charts. So not only will I have the specific charts for whatever I'm doing, but I'll have my plane overlaid on it so I can see where I am relative to certain airspaces.
Mm-hmm.
But electronic flight bag, like the whole kind of process and where it really starts to show its worth is with flight planning ahead of time and then using that in the plane. So now, or in the past, I should say, like non-electronic flight bag, you would get out a chart, you would get your plotter, you would draw a line for your, wherever you're going. You'd write down the mileage based off of what you see on the plotter, which is a fancy ruler, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd calculate out how long that would take you to do that route with a given cruising speed. And then you'd have to calculate using your performance charts. It's called a POH. To find out like how much fuel you'd burn, how long it would take. I mean, it's just like you do all these calculations and it takes hours and hours and hours to do all these calculations. And then you have this navigation log, which you essentially fly to and make sure that you've got enough fuel, you're making your times, you're going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So now all you do is go, okay, I want to start here and I want to end here. And the app, because you've input all of the information about your plane ahead of time, will make all of those calculations for you in about 2 seconds. So when you go up, you make these calculations, you flight plan ahead of time, you bring the iPad with you in the plane, you stick it to your leg, you put it on the dash, you put it on the yoke, wherever you have it mounted.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have a moving map with all of your flight plan information, your altitude, your it's got like a little glide ring around it. So it's basically telling you, okay, if your engine stopped right now, this is the ring of area that you would be able to glide to given your specific plane's performance. So you can kind of calculate, you can know like what airports might be within gliding range or, what emergency landing sites you might need. And it just does, it does weather, it's got traffic plugins, it has, all kinds of safety backups and, it's insane. It's super cool.
Sounds crazy. Just one question about it. Do you think anyone is still awake or listening to this?
No.
After you explained that for the past 5 minutes.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Tech Yeah.
No, that's very cool. It's very, it's technology, right? It's definitely
very tech. Yeah.
It's definitely our wheelhouse, and very interesting. It's just a lot of detail on flying airplanes. I hope people are interested in knowing more. Although it's better than me, my 2 weeks really with Chris and everything, a lot of video games, a lot of Smash Brothers. It's like a family tradition to play a shitload of Smash Brothers when we get together.
Like who in your family played Smash Brothers with you?
Me and my brothers.
That's awesome.
It's not like everybody, but me and my brothers. Have you ever played the board game Codenames?
No.
Okay, so it's a really good board game, but it's basically like cards, right? And you lay them out, and they have like a word on them. And so as an example, let's say a few of the words would be like car, turtle, hot dog, airplane, and moon, right? And like, if we were on the same team, like I would be like transportation too, right? And that would be like your code words to pick up car and airplane, right? Because they're like the two transportation ones.
Yep.
So you do it with a grid of like 16 cards, right? Like a bunch of words out there. And you got to come up with like one word clue and a number of cards you think fits to that clue, right? And you go back and forth between teams, and there's right cards to flip over and wrong cards to flip over. Yeah. It's really good. It's a great game, but I meant to bring it to my sister's house for Christmas. and I forgot it, of course. So I was at Target. I stopped at Target on the way down there. I'm like, I'm gonna see if they have it. But the only one they had was Codenames Adult version,
Yes.
which is the same game, but all the code words are like,
Just all boners.
well, it's like sausage and like kitty and like, you know, like, it's like,
Oh my god.
yeah, it is um, kind of foul. So we played a few rounds of that, and that was actually a lot of fun. If you can get the right crowd together, I definitely suggest Codenames 18 plus, adults only, to any adults out there listening that like to get a little horny with the fam, because you know that's what it
Nothing wrong
was.
with that. Happy holidays.
Yeah, because that's what it was. Uh, William, do you have any news stories for us today?
You know what? It has been, we talked about this earlier in the week, that there's just been so much stuff going on in like regular news and in tech news. But a lot of the podcast news organizations that I listened to over the past week have been on vacation.
Yeah, there's no like hot news coming out right now.
Yeah, which has been really, really refreshing. It's actually kind of nice to not have to listen to any of it, even though I listen to it every day and enjoy it when I do listen to it. But it's been a nice break. But I have this list from Mashable, which is kind of a hit or miss.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have some interesting things, but listicles are not usually my favorite because they're pretty biased and just kind of nonsensical. But I've got the list of 25 best tech of 2018. And I wanted to, it's actually a pretty varied list. I really liked it. It's kind of one of those things, it could be in any order, but they just made it in whatever order. So what I wanted to do is I'll just read through 25 to 11, but let's talk about the top 10. Because I think we each have some insights into each of the top 10 best techs according to Mashable of 2018.
All right,
so
let's see these bad boys.
Let's do it. So 25 is the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K.
Okay,
so that's exciting.
Very exciting.
$35. It's a pretty good deal.
It's a good device.
Yeah. GoPro Hero 7 Black, $400. Less of a good deal, but still, the benchmark for action cameras.
Solid device for if you need to use it for its intended purposes.
Exactly. MacBook Pro, that's a $1,700 laptop, which okay.
Sounds pretty lame.
Yep, pretty lame. Sony 1000 XM3 noise canceling headphones. $350 headphones. I'm not in the wireless noise canceling headphone camp. So
I've always kind of been anti noise canceling. I mean, yeah. I guess I haven't tried any new ones, right? But it always bothered me the way they have that like ambient kind of white noise pressure in them. You know what I'm talking about? Yep. Like you put them on, and like you turn them on and kind of hear that hiss, that like it's actively canceling.
Yeah.
I think that's super gross. I understand that you don't really hear it when stuff is playing, but that's always kind of been my take. Maybe it's because I don't want to spend $300 on headphones, though.
That's more of my that's the camp that I'm in. Is that's way too much for headphones.
Yeah, maybe that's why I complain about the little hiss, because it's like I would never spend that much.
Yeah, and they're always kind of plasticky and just not my deal. Nothing wrong with them, but just not my thing.
I actually bought some new headphones, and because the reviews were really good and they were super cheap, and they're mono price of modern retros, and they're so good. They're like $25, and they're so good.
Bluetooth?
No, they're just like regular
wired
plug-in. But they're great. Nice. They bump too.
Dope.
Yup.
Number 21, DJI Mavic 2 Pro and 2 Zoom. So little drones. Those are 1,500 and 1,200 respectively.
I'm aware of those guys.
Yeah, they're fun little toys. Oculus Go is number 20 at $200. I was actually surprised that low on the list because I think that is a pretty approachable price point and some experiences that I think can get people into VR in kind of more higher end VR
Yeah,
experiences.
I just think VR is kind of missing a lot. I mean, I think we're like 2 years away from VR experiences really being something um, so special that they're not to be missed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we're currently at a point. I don't think it's about the technology itself. I think the technology does need to get smaller and a little more packed in. But I don't think we're good enough at it as a people, or the right artists haven't really picked it up and been like, what can I do that's kind of special with this device or with this technology. Um, to really kind of make something you're like, wow, because
yeah,
we all have
exactly.
ideas in our head for VR that are better than what actually comes out right now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and it's like a chicken or the egg thing too, where it's like they've got to have the hardware to support the software, and the software needs to sell the hardware.
Hmm.
So I think once, and that's why I think the Oculus Go and other solutions like that are important, because if enough people pick up 150 $200 kind of standalone VR headset, and developers start seeing the uptick in usage and starting to test maybe lower end concepts that they can scale up with better hardware, I think that'll kind of get that 2 year window. Um, Maybe move it up a little bit, or at least make sure we hit that.
Yeah, I mean, as it is right now, I don't think there's a better use for VR than, popping it on to play X-Plane or Elite Dangerous, or a flight or space sim or driving games, right? I
Yeah,
think
it's things where you're sitting down
Yeah, I
essentially.
think
Yeah,
those work perfectly and are very cool.
yeah,
But I think the way they've tried to use that, I think this insistence on creating these first person experiences in VR is to its detriment, I guess, is kind of my take.
well, in that commercial, I think it is actually for the Oculus Go. They have that like sideline at an NBA game
Hmm. That they
kind
do
of
that
thing.
now, yeah.
And that's kind of cool stuff like that, where people that aren't gamers can see and see the benefit of VR, because there are more benefits than just playing games. Um, and the more that creators can explore some of those uses, um, you know, it'll be it'll be good.
Yeah, and they really got to get better at like the perspectives in VR. It's weird how you feel. You never feel the right size in
Yeah,
VR. You know what
yeah.
like it's always
No, so it's totally true.
it's always this strange like I feel short or tall or gigantic. Yeah, it's weird. But that's cool. Okay, let's
Yeah.
keep moving.
Okay. Number 19, Amazon Kindle Paperwhite. So I mean that's just kind of whatever. It's $100,
These
and I
Amazon
think you
items
can
are
get it.
killing it.
Yeah, I think you can get it wet. Maybe
No, I mean,
there's there's one that I think is waterproof, but
I,
it's not this one.
in general, I think the Kindles are pretty water resistant. But I like Kindles. I have like three of them.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, I like
I don't
books.
know. Is
So
that really like number 19?
when I was really into books, everyone decided to buy me Kindles. So now I have like a lot of Kindles. And
So number 18 is the Dyson Airwrap.
is that a wrapper?
It's a hair curler.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't have anything
So
to say about that.
guess. Okay. So let me read this to you. And I was gonna black the first 15, but just so reinventing appliances is what Dyson does best. First came the supersonic hair dryer. This year, the company blessed us with the Airwrap. Whereas a traditional curling iron uses heat to curl, add volume, or straighten hair, which can damage it, the Airwrap uses jets of cool air to do the same without the risks. It's a Dyson product, so it costs a pretty penny, but well worth not having damaged hair. How much do you think they charge for a heatless hair curler?
700, Alex.
That's a good answer. No, it's $4.99.
No, that's all right. I
Five
should have
hundred
gone with the
freaking
$1.
dollars.
I should have gone with the $1. I was trying to be
Yeah,
ridiculous, but
you were ridiculous.
but like the right kind of ridiculous, the Dyson kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Because I know their
Number 7.
fans are like $300 or something.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay, all
crazy.
right, sorry. You can move
Okay, number 17, Dolby Dimension. So I don't even know what that is. They're headphones that have Dolby Dimension, whatever.
It's an audio
So
out format for like
Life Mix ambient listening mode.
yeah.
Like $600.
I've never used it. I've heard the term before.
Yeah, interesting. Number 16, and this was I was kind of torn about this being so low on the list. The Sony PlayStation Classic.
Yeah, I think that was a very disappointing device
I agree.
for how cool the NES. Well, the NES one was okay, but the SNES one I think was really sweet. And just those items as collector's items was cool. I think
Hmm.
Sony PlayStation Classic is just missing. It's missing some games that just should be there. It's really it's just not that good.
And that seems to be the issue with those classic consoles. The officially licensed branded ones are can really never live up to the emulators, the build it yourself emulators, where you can put either all of the games ever or just the games you like. Having somebody else hand curate games and some of them being omitted based off of licensing agreements is a huge letdown and just a bummer.
Yeah, I think PlayStation Classic is clearly it's clearly their attempt to do that whilst not getting it into any not having to put too much effort into dealing with licenses, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
really don't see any games that have third party music,
Hmm.
third party characters, like things that might require tricky licensing are all absent, right? So you don't see games like Tony Hawk, like the Pro Skater games. You should have Pro Skater or Pro Skater 2 on there. Of
Yep.
course, they won't because those have a lot of punk songs in them. Castlevania should be on there for sure. I know they just sold a version of it, so maybe that's why they didn't. There's just a lot of things that I think the Grand Theft Auto on there is the old one and not 3 or later. It's just some weird choices were made, and
Yeah.
it definitely kind of devalues that device.
Yeah, and that's why, like, if you build a Raspberry Pi for $50 and get, a little flash drive and have 400 PlayStation games on there, I mean, you don't have any of those issues.
Yeah, I have a Raspberry Pi, and I have every Nintendo, every Super Nintendo, and a gang of PlayStation games on it, and it was like $30. So,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, it is crazy.
But, it's just like anything else, for those people that either don't know that exists, don't want to bother with it. It's a nice, compact, cool looking retro little gift. I mean, it's not going to like revolutionize your gaming or change your, video game playing habits really. It's just kind of like, hey, I was really into, you know, SNES or PlayStation. I'm going to get this licensed toy.
I think
basically.
depending how these toys continue to go on, it could be a very cool collector's item in
Yeah.
10 years. But I don't know. It's not a sure thing.
No.
Although I did go last week, I went to Little Tokyo during the long weekend, and they have like a vintage game store there. And I wanted to buy everything, like all the like Super Famicoms and old
Yeah.
Dreamcasts and everything. I was like, I want to buy everything just to have it. I would never play any of it. So I definitely get that retro fever. Like I
Oh yeah,
understand.
I think we all do, but it's like you get it for like half an hour, and then you realize that the games are really old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, let's
All
keep
right, so
going.
number 15 is the Plume SuperPods, which is a mesh Wi-Fi router system. Don't really know why that's number 15 on the list, but there you go. They look kind of cool, and
Maybe they sponsor the page.
probably,
All
and
right.
they're $200.
Yeah.
Number 14 is the Huawei MateBook. Do they say X or 10 Pro? Is this a 10? Is this a Roman numeral 10?
I don't know. Usually they say 10, but like usually they say 10 when they do like
Yeah.
1-0. So this was probably X.
Probably X. Seems like a fine laptop, $1,300.
Yeah.
NVIDIA graphics, discrete NVIDIA graphics, so that's cool.
I like Huawei. They're about to get shit on because America
Yeah.
won't allow them in. But
Yep.
I have a Huawei phone. I really like it. So hopefully the
Nice.
government lets me keep it or offers me a trade-in program or something.
You're a trader.
Yeah. Okay.
So number 13 is the Pocophone F1. And
You're
this
a
is a
Poco phone.
$278 kind of flagship level phone.
Yeah, the Poco phones are really cool. Um, I've seen quite a few reviews on them, and if I needed a phone, I'd probably buy a Poco phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a Snapdragon 845 chip, big battery, edge to edge display. I think in 2019, we're probably going to see a lot more types of phones like this.
Yeah, I think so too. I think expecting people to spend $900 on a phone, like
Yeah,
it's so unnecessary now. Um,
it really is.
I,
Yeah.
I think it will definitely create this world where Apple's kind of Apple's and Samsung's kind of sit at um, this very boutique level of phones, but I think we will definitely start seeing mainstream $300 phones everywhere. I mean, I don't need a $900 phone. Like
No, yeah, neither do I.
I don't
Neither
do
do I.
anything that's served by it anymore. It's not the old days where if you
Yeah.
had a cheap phone, it just was dog shit terrible.
Yeah, just garbage.
Yeah,
Yeah, and as some of these companies get some bad PR, which has already started happening and will continue, I think. Google, Apple probably have their day as well. Some of these smaller, lesser known manufacturers kind of have an opportunity to steal some market share as these big bad tech companies kind of lose favor with customers.
yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. So, yeah, I'm excited. I actually really like this as kind of setting a standard for phones that makes more sense and is more sensible. Unlocked
Yep.
phones, $300, everyone can buy them. People aren't getting stuck in these telecom contracts or these pay $30 a month because you have to have this phone if you want to like play any of the phone
Mhm.
games or I don't like that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I like this direction.
Me too. Number 12 is the Amazon Dot Echo, the 2018 version. So it's the third gen of the Echo Dot, updated aesthetics, got some buttons on the top, looks a little bit less, it's more rounded, looks pretty nice. $30. I mean,
They're almost
it's,
giving those things away to get into your house.
yeah, no kidding. They should sell those for less, honestly.
Yeah, they should be free.
They really should be free.
Or at least a free version. Well, I guess you can put it on your phone or your computer if you wanted a free version of it, but
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't have a standalone device that's free that you can put in your house and tell it what
Yeah.
you want to buy.
I know. Or even just whatever the cost for the manufacturing is.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if it was $5, like, hey, do you want to add an Amazon Dot to your order? It's $5 more.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
like
they,
a with your cart add-on.
yeah,
I'm
they'd
surprised.
sell that all day long.
I know. All right.
Number 11 is the Samsung Galaxy Note 9.
Ooh.
$850 phone. So it doesn't blow up and it looks pretty nice. And,
Yeah, I think the notes are nice. I think Samsung phones are very nice. I think talking about phones or Samsungs and iPhones is kind of drab because they're just still Galaxies
they're
and
just
iPhones.
good.
They're just good.
Yeah.
They're the nice ones.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about it. There's nothing really funky with it. I've got a S9, Galaxy S9. It's awesome.
I'm sad they don't have headphone jacks.
Yeah, the Note, yeah. I mean, we're going down that road, which is really lame.
Super lame.
Okay, so now we are at the top 10. And
the big time. It's the
this is
big time,
here.
boys.
Now the number 10 spot is a little bit underwhelming, but is the Fitbit Charge 3, and it's $130
Ow!
Fitbit.
Sorry, I was getting pumped up for the top 10.
So I don't know. The Fitbit, like the non-smartwatch kind of versions of these, don't really do it for me. I kind of like smartwatches. I just got Julia a smartwatch, a Garmin one, and they're just cool. I mean, if you're a watch wearer, the different, the customizable faces,
Mm-hmm.
the user interface is cool, but having these health trackers, more and more people are using them, and the price is just going to keep coming down. Just like the Amazon Dot, like they're going to start giving these away and selling subscriptions to the to the apps and trying to make money other ways and just start giving the hardware away.
Yeah, and Fitbits have been around for a long time. Um, I am surprised it's $139 or whatever, uh, but yeah, I mean, I think it's just I don't know. It's for people that don't know what they're buying to buy. It's kind of one of those like it's like a parent purchase item. Like it's you know most people I think know that their phone or a smartwatch or even like you can get a cheap like an early iWatch or something if you want something that can track your fitness. And I think it's funny people still spend $130 on a plastic band with a motion sensor to put on
It's
their
like the GoPro. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like just the de facto. Like, I want a health tracker. I'm gonna get a Fitbit.
Yeah, I think it's just my daughter likes working out, right? And you just like buy them one.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because it's like the one they
yeah,
have at Target, and like, um, so I think it's funny, but
yeah. It was. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this being so high up on this list. This is another one of an example of well, okay, this is this journalist's opinion and
yeah, that's just your
whatever.
opinion, man.
Yeah. All right. So number 9 is the Google Home Hub.
Oh dang, now we're getting into some juicy shit.
Yeah, this is some juicy shit. We've talked about these. We talked about the Facebook portal. These smart speakers. I mean, I think we've had like 2 or 3 episodes where we talk a lot about
At
the
least the
smart
Facebook
speakers.
one, yeah.
Yeah. And the Google, I mean, I have Google Home. I've got Google Home Minis in a couple of rooms. And I will say that from like having lived with it for 10 months now,
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I find myself asking, like wanting to ask questions to Google when I'm not at home and realize that I don't, it sound like a complete jackass if I was just in the middle of a store and said, "Hey Google, like, how tall is Jennifer Lawrence?"
You could do it on your phone. I think it'd be okay.
You can do it on your phone, yeah, but I'm so used to not
The
to
world wants to
take
know
my
how
phone out.
tall J Law is. The world wants to know.
The world wants to know. Weather, I use it for weather a lot. Asking it what the temperature is, playing music, like just kind of rolling out of bed and say, hey, play some classic rock or play some relaxing music. And it'll play it, in the 2 rooms that we have it in. So there's some features that are really nice. I don't know how much I need a screen.
Yeah, I don't either. Like even with like I have a Alexa, the Amazon, the Echo Dot, and I don't really use it now, but when I did use it a lot, it really was like when I'd wake up, I'd just say like Alexa news, Alexa weather, kind of get a kind of like know what I was going into for the day. But other than
Right.
that, I wasn't like having conversations with it or asking it if it loved me or anything like that. That wasn't really I wasn't that deep on it, so um, I don't know. I think the Google Homes are cool. I think if you have a smart house, there's a lot to be said for controlling devices via the voice hub.
Yeah,
Um, I
that's a
think
good point. Yeah, because that's something that I don't have. I don't have any smart light bulbs or anything, so or locks or any of that crap. So I don't really have the benefits of being able to control that stuff, which would probably, I think, increase obviously the usefulness of it and change my opinion of it.
hmm yeah, my brother-in-law actually when I was at his house, he has it's the Amazon it's the Amazon one that's like the Google Home. It's I don't remember what they call it, but they redid the bedroom and the bathroom and it's all smart. And it's pretty cool, but 'cause they have like smart like sorry, I have a cold or something. But they have like smart faucets in the shower. So you can like
Hmm.
turn on the shower at the temperature you want. You know what I mean? Like by voice before you get in, like
Yeah.
you can turn the heat on for the tile on the bathroom floor. Like there's a lot of if you have that level of control, I think that's super interesting. Like I think that's kind of fun. But um I've never really been into the like how tall is Jennifer Lawrence, level of these devices, but I get that a lot of people are. And I know when I'm at a lot of friends' houses, they like to use them for that type of thing.
I enjoy it because whenever I'm or a sporting event or whatever, I I'm always kind of thinking about that kind of crap. Like, what was that guy's name? What movie was he in? Or what was the score from last week's game? So to be able to just speak it, I have found that to be more enjoyable than pulling up my phone. And part of it is I want the information, but I also don't want to just always have my phone in my hand. I'm very conscious of, I don't want to be that guy that just has the phone, every 2 seconds, even if it's something like, like, why are you on your phone? Oh, well, I'm looking up this question.
You want to be that guy that talks to a little robot in his kitchen. Not the guy that holds his phone.
Kind of. Yeah, I'd rather be that guy.
Obviously. All right, let's go.
So moving on to number 8, which is the Huawei Mate 20 Pro cell phone.
Wow, Huawei making big moves on here.
Making the list twice. This, if you didn't know any better, it would look like a Samsung S9 Plus and iPhone 10X, whatever the hell, had a kid.
Yeah, Mate 20 Mate 20 is a beast.
It's a huge phone. It's got the notch. It's got the kind of curved display at the end. It looks like $1,100.
Yeah, it's just like a fully featured flagship phone. Like that's what I mean. Like when you brought up Samsung too, it's like, what do you say? It's a nice phone. Like.
Yeah, and it's not sold in the U.S.
Nope.
Which is interesting, and
you can get them in the U.S. It'll run 4G bands.
Yeah,
they didn't really ban Huawei, but they're going into 5G is where you're really going to start to see those phones fall off. Like even my phone, you can find them. They're not sold by any carrier. You have to buy it like third party. The 20 you can still get third party. Future Huawei's I doubt you're going to really see because they won't support 5G.
Yeah, and we've mentioned them not being sold here and being in trouble and jeopardy of not being sold at all. To be fair, they did find some not very U.S. friendly things inside of government hardware, government computers. So there's some, and China has been known to partake in corporate espionage.
I'm interested. I'm interested in what the reality of those things are, right? Because I know there's a lot of, American-made technology devices do a lot of callbacks, right? So as we've seen the news cycle become what it's become, and intelligence become kind of a slave to that news cycle, it just feels like I just don't see them making these things as like spy boxes. You know what I mean? I don't think that's the nature of these phone manufacturers. I think they're just trying to sell phones and make money. And
yeah, I agree, but I also think that there is, China, there's some countries out there, China, Russia, North Korea, that it would be in their interest to know more about our government. And if they're exporting hardware and technology to us, and if they can get away with it, why would you not put a little...
Then why... I get that, but if that's the case, then why are they trying to block it at a consumer level? You know what I mean? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, the rhetoric versus the proposed approach to that violation. You know what I mean? Like, for one, I think if they really had information saying that China has implanted bugs in their networking infrastructure that they've sold to the United States, and we found those bugs, and we know that China is spying through these devices on the U.S. government, it wouldn't be a news story on Gizmodo, right? Like, it would be treason. It would be an act of war. You know what I mean? Like, so to sort of imply that and be like, so, we're not going to like do Huawei's anymore. It's like, that doesn't really add up, like as in like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to me that they're implying that these devices have been set up to spy on the government, but they're like, yeah, so, we might not like let them do 5G. It's like, that's not how the U.S. government reacts to being spied on. Like That's how they react to a phone company finally being bigger than the American phone company Apple. You know what I mean? Like that's how they react to trying to um, keep China like non-competitive so we can win a trade war. If you ask me, which for better or for worse, I think we need to win this trade war. But I do think a lot of this rhetoric is based around knowing that we had an upcoming trade war with China, that we need to kind of negotiate our our dealings with China, and knowing kind of what was coming with Russia as well. That like we kind of have to this is going to be an ongoing conversation for the next 20 years.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, but I don't think that it is crazy to think that a foreign government might ask a technology company based in that country to plant.
I don't think that's crazy at all. What I
Yeah,
think is crazy,
like, hey, we'll give you some tax breaks if you kind of give us some access to foreign government information,
yeah, no.
which we're selling
The
to.
only part I think is crazy is the part where we're pretending that they caught them spying, and they haven't, and it was just kind of like, it was just sort of a news story, right? Like,
Well, but I don't think that they know. I don't think they know
that's what I
what
mean.
information they could have gotten, and I think they're in the we're still looking. We found something that could be, and I'm probably sounding very ignorant because I am on
No,
this topic.
but I think that's the
I'm,
reality of it. I think what you're saying is right. I think that these are all leaps of logic that aren't founded in fact. They're founded in could haves, or like we think maybe,
yeah, they
which is
found something that was suspicious. They're looking into it, and it's like too perfect to not be a potential threat.
yeah, which is I think is fine, but that's also not like this phone manufacturer is a an agent of the communist Chinese government and trying to
Yeah,
what I
well, I
mean.
don't.
And I
Yeah,
think
and
it's
I
being
wouldn't say that they're an agent.
I think it's being
You,
sold that way.
yeah,
And I think if that was the truth, we'd be at war with China right now, right? And Huawei would have no place in the United States, right? Like that's what I mean. I think they're trying to sell Huawei as this spy company working for the Chinese Communist government out to get us. But the reality is, based on their reaction and the lack of anything with teeth, around this, it's honestly a lot of kind of what bugs me about the Russia investigation, right? Is that the Mueller and everything like comes up, and yeah, he's finding all these bad guys, but the latest indictment was that there were two illegal immigrants working on a Trump golf course. You know what I mean? It's like I thought we were,
completely
yeah,
unrelated.
I
Yeah,
thought we were searching for Russian spies. Like that's how this is being sold. That you're gonna
right.
round up all the Russian spies, and you just got rid of a fucking dishwasher. You know what I mean? It's like it's the same thing with this Chinese phone hacking thing. It's like we caught this Chinese fucking phone spying company, and we might not let them be on the next phone protocol. It's like what? Like that's not how you deal with this shit. You know what I mean? Like it's. I feel like
There's
as
many layers to this.
there's many layers, and as the year has been, I feel like it's another one of these bombastic headline stories that loses its teeth as soon as you really start to try and dig in and find out what's going
Potentially,
on.
yeah, potentially. But like, if you look at it from our perspective too, this would be like the government going to GM and saying, "Hey, we'll give you some massive tax breaks if you kind of give us access to some of your OnStar data from foreign, delivered cars."
You don't think they do?
Well, I'm sure that there's.
You know what I
No, I'm
mean?
not. I
Yeah.
don't know. There might be, maybe. I have no idea. But that's what I mean. Where it sounds like something that is very, very possible. And if someone found out that we did that, they have every right to be pissed. And if we found out that other countries were doing that to us, we should be pissed too. At least look into it. I think it would be silly for us to not look into it, given China's history of, copyright infringement and corporate espionage of all countries.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it too. I think the reality is I think it's our own insecurity that drives this this paranoia, right? As our government continues to spy and say that, pretend that they're not,
Yeah, sure.
and continually gets caught, um, and allows corporations to spy, and as we see more and more that everyone is using all of their technology to listen to everything, to sell everything, to spy on everyone, and we really have found no way to 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 stop it or to even discourage the activity. um it's hard to believe. I honestly think if you're the U.S. government and you realize, like, the moment you see, like, oh, we have like Huawei, like, I bet some general made it into a server room finally in his life and was like, why is there a Huawei thing in here? You know what I mean? Like, it's always like, oh, that's the one we bought. And he's like, get it out of here. It's fucking Chinese. Like,
Hawaii. What's a Hawaii?
yeah. Yeah, that's not made by what's an American electronics company, like, that's not made by General Electric. We can't use this.
Where's Watson?
Yeah. It's funny. I think it's fun. I think it fits into kind of this year and its news cycle, and the way that's all kind of played out is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Agreed.
Tangent.
Interesting piece of hardware.
Great fun.
Geopolitics. Yeah, geopolitics will determine whether or not we. Okay, so number 7 is the iPad Pro.
Okay.
Have you used the iPad Pro?
No.
It is, I have to say, it's pretty badass. When you see that thing in person, they've got the 11-inch and the 0.9-inch, and the bezels are much thinner than the traditional iPads have been, and it's got the gesture controls like the iPhone 10, or I'm going to say X. I'm going to acknowledge that I know it's 10, but I'm going to say X just because I'm going to be a dick
it's
about
basically
it.
the new MacBook Air, right? Like, they got rid of the Air and kind of made the Pro fancier, and
and it's got a A12X Bionic chip, which I don't know what the stats are on that, but it's their latest thing.
Maybe it's got the AI chip, bro.
Yeah, it's got a USB Type-C, which is good. It's Apple Pencil 2 compliant. It's got Face ID. It's got all the latest Apple gadgets. That screen, though, is really, really nice.
Yeah, it looks really nice. It looks nice. Like I said, I've just never been an iPod guy or an iPad guy, so I have little familiarity with it. But yeah, they look nice. I don't know if they are worth what they cost, but
so it's $800 for the 11-inch and $900 for the 12.9-inch. And it's a lot of money, but I think with the power that you get from it, I don't know. If you're an Apple person, this is the first iPad since it came out where, there's something there different that would make you want to buy it.
And if you're an Apple person, write us an email and tell me why they're dope. Like, my problem, like, with not necessarily iPads, because I haven't really used them, but with Windows tablets or even Android tablets, is you're very restricted, right, with the app market and what you can use within that market. For Windows, like, you can't launch x86 apps off ARM processors, which runs most of those Windows tablets. So you're kind of limited to these mobile versions of applications. And I don't know if iPads have that same limitation, and if you kind of got to use these hybrid mobile app, you know what I mean? Sort of.
Yeah, well, it's the iPads have never been like a PC experience. They've always just been like extra large iPhone, extra large iOS devices. So and Apple is very strict with their app store. Everything's very curated. So you're not going to be able to run, like a desktop version of Photoshop or something like that. But there is mobile versions of that. And like I talked about with ForFlight, that app, where developers tend to be a little bit more friendly towards the Apple products because they all kind of run the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think the experience is going to be more seamless if you're an iPhone user going to an iPad Pro or really any iPad versus the experience of running a Microsoft or even Android tablets don't really count, but like a Microsoft, which kind of mimics that desktop, desktop Windows, but has limitations. So where you think you should be able to run a program or application, you're restrained from it. Whereas with the iPad, I feel like if you are familiar with that ecosystem, you have an app on your phone, you want it in a larger size, you're pretty much assured that it'll run no problem on that device.
Yeah, you're still going to be working within this mobile workflow though, which
Yeah.
For better or worse, I think it works better on Apple than it does
Exactly. For better, for worse, and that's why I went the Android route with my personal devices, because it is very constraining.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not a fan of that. So that segues nicely to number 6, which is the Microsoft Surface Pro 6.
Ooh, Surface Pro. I like these Surface Pros this year. I think they're so nice.
Yeah, so we've got it's 2-in-1. It's basically a 2-in-1. It's where the iPad Pro is really a tablet. It has a detachable keyboard now, which was kind of like the original Surface tablets, where it was that kind of like quasi case that would just clip on,
kind of flipped out.
So the Surface has like a more traditional kind of hard plastic keyboard, but they seem to be powerful, good battery life.
They have a great
but
hinge,
like we talked,
a great
yeah,
hinge.
but like we talked about, it has that kind of hybrid mobile versus desktop experience.
Yeah, but it does run full Windows. So the Surface Pro, which I like, will run full x86 Windows applications. So you can run desktop Photoshop, you can run desktop, whatever program, Maya, if you want to do 3D, like whatever. You can play game, you can run full games on it or whatever, right? That's one thing I like about the Surface line, is you're not limited to mobile versions of applications.
Nice. And do you know if it has a LTE?
I don't know if they have an LTE version. I would be interested to find out, because I don't have one. But yeah, I don't know. I know you could probably get a LTE adapter for it, but I have not seen if they do have an LTE version of it.
I used to be a laptop guy. Like, out throughout college, and after I had what the hell did I have in college? I had some Toshiba thing. It was like okay, and it got me through college and everything. And then I got a MacBook, and I had that, and I liked having that. I had that MacBook for a long time. I liked having a laptop. I liked being able to go into the type stuff out and do that, versus having a desktop. But now with phones have gotten so good, it's weird to see how companies have been reacting to do we go with a phone? Do we do a 2-in-1? Do we do a laptop? What are we doing here, folks?
Yeah, I do feel like a lot of companies have been trying to reinvent the laptop for, I don't know, the last 5 or 6 years, ever since really Ultrabooks became a thing. And, I think that the issue really is, it's like you either want a desktop, a phone, or just a regular old laptop. Like I use a laptop at work every day. I like it. There's things I need a mobile yet full PC to do, right? Like a phone can't do it, a Chromebook can't do it, so, I think there's still a lot of room left for the traditional laptop. I do think these kind of hybrid devices are a little misplaced, but whatever.
Yeah,
but whatever.
I don't have access to their customer data and what kind of use cases they're seeing with their customers, but I just don't see them that often out in the wild.
No.
You go into a Starbucks and you got a guy there on a MacBook Air, or you've got someone on their phone, but you don't really see people pulling out these 2-in-1s, and I don't know. I don't see the uses.
I know what businesses buy, and they buy ThinkPads.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe just if you got a meeting, you can just pop that thing out of the dock, and head head to a meeting in a conference room, come back, plop it in, and you've got it on your big monitor. Like there's a huge benefit to that.
Yeah, you still have all your conversations going, you still have all your emails going,
Yeah.
like you can still work on the same spreadsheet. Yeah, it's nice. All right, what's our next device?
Okay, so number 5, we're going to see kind of a trend here for the top 5 is the Google Pixel 3 and Pixel 3 XL.
Is it phones? Is phones the trend?
Phones might be the trend.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I like the
So
Pixels.
what's your take on the Pixel?
I think they're cool. I think they're nice phones. The camera is supposed to be amazing. I've not used it before. I like vanilla, like plain Android without all the manufacturer firmware on it. But I think the price is just too high. I think, like Apple, Google's kind of gone crazy with this ability to raise the price. And I don't think people really realize that the Pixel is like $500 more than it was last time, right? Like these prices just keep jumping like astronomically, and no one seems to like step back and be like, hey, like why, so I think that's a really disappointing thing, but I do think that it's a very nice phone with a very, very nice camera.
Yeah, $600, or excuse me, not $600, $699 for the Pixel 3, and then $750 for the Pixel 3 XL.
Yeah, I think they were like way cheaper before.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really think that it's from that because people love credit. People love payments, monthly payments. If you say, here's the brand new gorgeous phone for $30 a month, they'd be like, sweet, that doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. It doesn't occur to them that it's a $1,000 smartphone. All they care about, and same with buying cars. Like, I don't care how much this car costs. What is it a month?
Yeah, can I afford the
You know,
monthly?
Yeah, $300 a month. I can do that. That's fine. Move on. It doesn't even phase them. The
Mm-hmm.
price of the phone. But when you look at the raw number and you look at the iPhone X and it's a $1,200 phone, like that is a crazy concept. But for what is it, $50 a month, $45 a month, whatever it is. If you go to Verizon or whatever payment plan, super easy. They don't care.
It's too much. It's crazy. It's too much money.
It's way too much money. Okay, so in that vein, number 4 entry is the OnePlus 6T.
I know nothing about this phone.
Neither do I, but I will say, looking at the picture, it is as edge to edge as you can get. It doesn't have the full notch like the Pixel and the iPhone have. It's got like the little tiny, what's the guy from the Addams Family? Little
Cousin It.
Little, not Cousin It. No, the son from the Munster.
Pugsley
Weird
Addams.
hairline. Yeah. It's got the little. I'm gonna blank on the name of that. Email us at techyapodcast@gmail.com.
I see. That's got the little crow's peak at the top.
Yeah, exactly. But like huge, enormous screen.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's pretty nice, and it's $550. OnePlus kind of entered the U.S. market as the budget flagship smartphone,
Mm-hmm.
and this is starting to creep up in price. I mean, it looks like an expensive phone. That looks like it's difficult to manufacture.
Who makes?
I don't know who's doing the
to be
manufacturing,
HTC,
but I mean
don't-
it. Yeah, I mean I've held a couple of them, and I mean they're pretty freaking nice.
Yeah, it's a nice phone. It looks really nice. I don't know what
But
else to
that's
say
about
about.
it.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know
it's
what
not
else.
really.
That's
It's
the problem.
not like it's not an exciting.
That's the problem when you get to all these phones. I'm just like, it's a nice
I know
phone.
you're just kind of like cool. All right,
It's a good phone. I like
have
that.
one phone.
Yeah, it's a good phone. I like that.
Okay, so number 3 is the iPhone XS, and I know it's 10s and 10R, but it's so stupid that they put the Roman numeral.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We've talked about this before. They start $1,000. The 10R is $750. I think Apple's shooting themselves in the foot with these price points.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Apple's only saving grace right now is that the government is actively fighting against Huawei and ZTE because Huawei is positioned to just clean up on them, and it's already kind of started. I think this will actually kind of discourage it, but um, yeah, I think the iPhones are dumb. I mean, I don't know. I'd get an iPhone. I'm not that opposed to them if they had like a free iPhone plan thing or so, you know what I mean? Like whatever. I don't think they're bad phones. I think they're nice. They feel nice in your hand.
Yeah, they do.
The vibration feels really good on them, which is a weird thing to like, but like the haptic is so nice on that phone.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I just don't think they're worth the money, and I don't think the different models are that exciting. Um, but yeah, I mean, they're nice phones. I guess is kind of the extent of my. Yeah, I guess it's so lame because that's kind of what I said about the last three things. It's like, yeah, it's a nice
Well,
phone.
I mean, it's a trend, and that, yeah, it's a trend. Apple is innovate. Like Apple at their best was always very innovative.
Hmm.
Um, they weren't the first ones to come out with a smartphone, but like the iPod was such an amazing product. I mean, I bought so many of those damn iPods.
Yeah, I had a lot of iPods
Because
too.
each version that they came out with was like, oh my god, like this one's color, this one plays video. Like, I mean, the video iPod. Like, do you remember when the video iPod came out and it was still the same, like track wheel?
I love the track wheel though. Like I said,
Yeah,
like the haptic felt so good on the track wheel. Like you
so
felt
great.
that
Like,
click 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 feeling in it. Like it was really nice.
yeah, it was just a great product especially at the time. But I think that so many people fell in love with the ecosystem, and it's been kind of ridiculed lately as just kind of a nerdy way to talk about Apple with the ecosystem. I think Marquise has talked about that a lot, like just how nerdy that is.
Hmm.
But I think there's maybe some fatigue with it, and not necessarily fatigue as in people are tired of it, but it's just the same thing. It hasn't really changed.
Yeah, and I think Apple's goal from the get go was to trap people in this ecosystem, and I think that we're starting to see the culmination of that trap. You know what I mean? Like they don't need to continue to sell like why you should buy this phone. They just have to convince you that you don't need to leave. Like
Right.
don't abandon your stuff. It's all here. Like the phone's nice. You know what I mean? Like
And you know what I think is a huge portion of that is the fact that the phones themselves are very good.
yeah, they feel nice. I
But I
think.
mean, like just cell phones in general. Like the phone is taking over what computers used to be.
Hmm.
Like I've got an iMac right here, and I love it. And I had all my pictures on it. I had all my contacts. Everything was on my MacBook, and then my iMac. So when it's time for cell phone land, to be able to plug into that ecosystem and have everything transfer over seamlessly, iTunes, being a huge portion of that. I've got all my music, all my downloaded music on here. I want to transfer that over to my phone very easily. And that was one of the big selling points of the earlier generations of the iPhones.
Hmm.
But now more and more people are going away from downloaded on your phone music playlists and iTunes and more towards streaming services like Spotify. They don't need all that stored music. So being able to transfer over that music and purchasing songs on iTunes is kind of not a thing anymore, really. It makes having that ecosystem compatibility really not worth it anymore.
Yeah, it's funny when you talk about buying music on iTunes. It just feels so ancient.
Doesn't it feel weird? I mean, I
Yeah,
haven't done that in
it
ages.
feels like you're talking about something that people don't do. Like that I can't remember people doing, but I know just recently I would buy my nieces iTunes gift cards for Christmas every year because like they were the ones that wanted
It
all
was
the
huge.
music or yeah, it was huge.
I
All
mean,
right.
it was a major thing, and I remember, because I had the iMac when I got my first. The hell phone was it? It may have been the Samsung S6. I think was the first Samsung phone I bought. That like it was a big deal trying to get all of my information from the Mac to the phone. Like there was
Hmm.
a special program I had to download just to do that, and it was like kind of a pain in the ass. And I remember one of the selling points of that was the existence of that Samsung software. Like, hey, take all your iTunes phone or iTunes music and transfer it to your Samsung device. And it's not, people don't do that anymore. So, I mean, even Julia, like, she's had iPhones for, and I think just recently she's kind of like, I don't know if I want an iPhone anymore. Like, she would have never said that because you have all your music and, you know, all your stuff is on that ecosystem. Try a phone that's cheaper, has a better battery, has a better camera, and, you know, you've got all the same experience that you had with your iPhone, you know, in recent years, just on a better you know, or better is, you know, subjective, but, you know, different hardware.
Maybe it just means we're getting old, and the image of our phone isn't really as important as the value of our phones, you know?
Well, all the stuff that we've been sold originally is kind of like, just like the speakers, you know, like you use it for a couple of months and you know, ask it goofy questions or have it sing a song to you or tell a joke, but then you kind of get into a rhythm of what you actually use it for, and you realize that, well, I really didn't need most of the stuff this thing can do. So for the next one, I'm either going to not buy one in the case of a smart speaker, or buy one that, you know, is cheaper and maybe doesn't have all the fancy stuff that I don't use anyway.
Yeah, I never do video calls. Why did I buy the video one? Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah.
All right, so what's our next device? Let's keep
okay,
this
so
rolling.
number 2 is the Microsoft Surface Laptop 2.
So it's like the other Surface.
It does, but the other Surface had the detachable, you know, that's the 2-in-1 with the flip out back. This is the actual. I mean, it looks like an old MacBook. Honestly.
It's detachable too.
It is detachable?
It's got the rounded hinge, right, with the slats in it. Can you see it?
Now I want to look.
Let me see. Surface laptop, right? Sorry, you can hear my keyboard going.
No, it's not detachable.
Let's see. Surface Laptop 2 review. Oh, maybe it was the first gen, or maybe I'm not thinking of the laptop.
Yeah, no, this is. I mean, it has the similar to.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
a
That
MacBook
does look
Air.
like the MacBook Air.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. It just looks like a laptop.
Yeah, I again, these lists are a little bit goofy, but I think what we were talking about before, where having a more full-fledged desktop style laptop is right now the better device.
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like the pricing on these things won't be, you know what I mean? Like it's too branded in a way that not a huge fan of if you're going to be using it in the office. You know what I mean? And it's not fun enough for something I'm going to use at home. You know, like starts at $1,000.
Right.
You know, if I'm going to use it,
but when you look at these specs though, I mean, you've got an 8th gen i5 or i7.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the i5 is going to be the base $1,000 one. You got 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM. I don't know what speed those are, but I mean, if you got 16 gigabytes of RAM, you know, that's great. SSDs, you know, up to a terabyte of SSD. Like it's a PC.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice PC. Don't get me wrong, but for me, I don't know. I feel like I'm on both sides of it, right? Like if I want a laptop, I want it to be more laptop-ish, you know, and probably less expensive. And this doesn't do what I would need from a PC at home. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of the worst of both worlds. Like it's not powerful enough or unpowerful enough, I guess. I mean, it'd be good to carry. It's just too expensive for what it is for me.
It's less than 3 pounds, so it's a.
I mean, $1,000 base, so that's going to be your i5 8 gig.
Yeah.
You know, Intel HD graphics. No SSD for $1,000. You know, I think you can get a ThinkPad for $800. It's got, you know, an i5 plus an SSD. You know, like that's what I mean. I think its style makes it non-competitive. You know what I mean? Like it's too stylish. It's too expensive. It's trying to be too premium. In a space where I think you kind of need to have value, right? I think that's the problem with iMacs too, like or the what are they even MacBooks? You know, like
Yeah.
I feel like the MacBooks have kind of lost their luster in a lot of ways too, and it's because they're kind of too premium for what people want out of that type of device. You know,
Yeah, the majority of people don't need a lot of those specs for what they're using it for.
and the people that would are better served with the desktop. You know,
Right,
like
exactly.
that's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
that's my take. That's my hot take on the Surface Laptop 2.
Beautiful. All right, are we ready for the number one
Wait, this is
piece of
the
tech?
number one piece of.
Number one piece of tech of 2018.
Do you want me to find a
Would
drum
you
roll? Do you want me to get a drum roll going? Hold on,
would
let
you
me.
care to guess? Do you want to guess?
Hold on, I gotta get a drum roll sound effect going. 1 second. They can hear this. All right, can you hear that?
Oh my god, it's beautiful. All right, what is your guess for the number one piece of tech in
Oh, I should have
2018?
guessed before I did the drum roll. My guess, based on what we've seen so far, is oh man, what would it be? Something impactful. Hopefully not another phone. Um,
It's not another phone, I'll give you that.
and it came out in 2018.
Yes.
I was gonna say the Nintendo Switch, but that came out last year. Um, the MacBook Pro. All right, hold on, drum roll, and then you can. Then you can
Okay, drum roll.
All right, you heard it right when I played it.
I did.
Okay.
Number one is the Apple Watch Series 4.
Oh, fuck this list.
I knew you would say that.
I can't believe I drum rolled for that.
Oh my god. So they start at $400, $400 to $430.
I don't give a shit. They're trash.
Uh,
This is.
I I don't like the Apple Watch.
It's.
I've played around with them before. I think they look preposterously stupid.
I think they look preposterous too. I mean, I think they're fine. I think they're cute. I think it's all good and fun, but for what they cost, I think they do look really stupid. I like watches, which makes me even more
Me too.
offended by what they consider a fashionable arm piece.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not. Um,
No.
it's it's everything I hate about Apple distilled into a wristband.
Yep, I agree. Is they build something that is like purposefully dumb looking just so it stands out as an Apple product for their fanboys to show off.
Yeah, and it's purposely built for like this accessory market. You know, like you go in the Apple store and all their stupid bands are $100 and they're like rubber. You know, and it's just
Yeah.
like they have cases and covers that go on them. It's a watch and you need a case and a cover. Like it's it's gross. It's super gross. And I've never seen anyone put a case around their Rolex when they wear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the craftsmanship is poor if that's what they think they need to do. The styling is poor if they think people need to buy third party bands. I think the technology is neat for what it is. Like I think that part is fine, I guess. I just think that
Yeah.
as a fashion accessory, it is uh, poor at best.
Well, it just integrates nicely with the iPhone, and the app developers they've got them wrapped around their finger, and you know it's you're right. I mean, watches have forever been largely a piece of fashion, and the functionality, frankly, on a lot of watches traditionally has been poor. I mean, I have a couple of watches that I can barely tell what time it is on.
Well, I mean, the nicest watches are automatics, and they lose time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like literally, I have a few automatics. I have different movements, citizens. I've got cheap Chinese movements, and they all lose time eventually. You know, like
Right.
it's not watches aren't about. I mean, it's nice to have accurate time, but literally a Timex with a quartz movement or a digital watch, a digital Casio will keep
Yep.
better time than a Rolex will. So,
Yeah.
um, so it's like, if you want function, just buy a cheap watch. If you want fashion, buy a fashion watch. If you want to look like a fanboy, buy an Apple Watch. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I
So
don't.
now that being said, the Samsung Gear watch I like. I just bought Julia a Garmin. What the hell's the name of that thing? I can't. Vivo something. I don't know, but it's
You're a
their
Vivo
smartwatch, and it's a circular bezel. It's got integrated GPS in it, so you can go run without your phone, and it's going to track exactly. It's got the heart rate sensor, and they're $100 less than this thing. Mm-hmm. The Apple Watch will do all that same stuff. We all saw the keynote in September about all of the heart arrhythmia stuff and all that crap. But why pay more for something that's uglier that does the exact same thing?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the Apple Watch.
So
that's enough. I'm done. I don't want to talk about the Apple Watch anymore.
Yeah, me neither. So there you go. There's there's Mashable's 25 top tech gadgets of 2018.
But I think it was pretty good. I think it took us to a lot of places. Maybe some places we didn't want to go, but
I'm actually impressed that we both had something to say about almost all of these.
Yeah, but we're kind of loudmouths, so it makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like we could talk about. I could talk about anything. But we've made good time. We're like an hour and 20 minutes in, so we should probably start wrapping it up. Bill, my friend, where can people find you out there in the world of the internet?
Let's send people to Twitch. No, actually, let's send them to YouTube. Let's go to youtube.com/BILL4LE. Got some full streams on there and some videos that I've been working on, which I'm pretty happy about. So if you want to check out what I've been doing, you can fly along with me in the cockpit of a real airplane and a fake one.
Oh, wow. All right, you can find me, Toneface Killer, KILLAH, on Twitch and Twitter. You can find Techie Out Podcast at gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, all over the place. And
wherever podcasts are given away for free because we're stupid.
You love that line. All right. And with that, we love you guys, and we're out.
Peace out.